Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bravo Breakdown with Joleen. That is me. If you are joining live, make sure you smash that like. Also, hit that subscribe. Welcome to all of my new subscribers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight, we're going to be talking all things Scandoval. Obviously, nothing is letting up. Everything is still happening. No sleep is being had. I'm drinking Diet Coke and a Waterloo. So smash that like. Let's set a like goal for, let's go crazy. Let's say 500. Let's just say 500 because sometimes that happens. Okay. Sometimes that happens. Happy Thursday. Let me know you're here in the chat. If you want to support the channel further, Super Chat is a great way to do it while we're live. I'll highlight your comment, read your question, fun. Or you could do what Brittany did and become a member of my YouTube channel. We have lots of members only live coming your way and also some more perks. I'm going to add another tier and we're going to have some fun. Shout out to all my mods. So you guys, let's get into it. We're going to have a good, fun time. We have a very special guest tonight on the Bravo Breakdown with Joleen, a personal friend of mine and also someone who's killing it in the pop culture podcast, reality TV, creating his own wine, branding, writing books. He does it all. You guys know him. If you don't, I put a link to his Instagram and also his YouTube channel in the description of this video, but you can find him. I think his podcast was trending in like the top 20 this week. Hashtag no filter with Zack Peter. What's up, Zack?
Hi, Joleen.
Hi. Oh my God, I haven't talked to you.
So profesh. You like hi to the mods and welcome join and to the memberships. I'm like, you're so much more professional than me on the YouTube.
I doubt it. Oh my God.
Do the YouTube. I'm like play. Hi guys, welcome. I'm Zack Peter.
Whatever. You were just live and you had like 1,100 live viewers. It's so fun.
I love going live. It's literally so much fun. If you guys are if there are any Zack Pack members, then blow up Jolene's live chat and let her know that we're here to support.
Yes, lots of people saying they love Zack. Miranda just left your live, came over here. Renee dropped your link. So, Zack, I mean, I actually did a show. You guys might remember Zack had his tea show at the Bourbon Room and I performed stand-up on it and it was so fun. And we had all these Vanderpump. So everyone in Scandoval was at your show last April.
I was literally just talking to the Bourbon Room this morning. And I was like, they're like, what is this Scandoval drama? And I'm like, you have no idea. I was like, do you not remember everybody in the show? I was like, and Ariana was there and Sandoval was there and then Schwartz was there and then Scheana was there. And I was like piecing it together for them. So yeah, it's been quite an adventure.
It is crazy that all of that, like where we've come in less than a year with this whole saga is crazy. My mom's in the chat. She says, Nana really loves Zack.
Aw. I love you.
Yes, you guys. Oh, you saw us at the Bourbon Room. Hello, Rosie.
Hi, Rosie. I mean,
how
listen,
fun.
You never know. We may be back one day. You never know. You never know.
Do the little
wishful thinking manifestation.
Yeah, I mean, you can make it happen. If anyone can make it happen, Zack Peter can make it happen. Okay, Zack. So the latest and greatest going on in this Scandoval news. Obviously, we've had multiple apologies. Some appear more as statements. I think you and I are kind of on the same page with the apology tour. I think you said that you were not a fan of either apologies, Rachel or Sandoval, but there was one that you liked more, and I can't remember which one you said.
Well, I mean, there have been so many apologies at this point. So the first Sandoval apology I thought was garbage because my thing is, it's like if you're going to say first of all, don't say anything publicly. Like, give it a beat. Number one, and number two, if you are going to say something, then the first thing you should say is "I'm sorry" to Ariana. So him being like, "Don't mess with Schwartz and Sandy," is like not the best apology. But his second one was all focused on Ariana. He said her name so many times, and he was like, "I'm sorry to Ariana, and I did this disrespectfully to Ariana, and I hope I earn her respect." Blah 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 blah. Right? Raquel mentioned Ariana one time and then wrote 8 other paragraphs about like how I'm not a victim, but here are all the reasons that I am a victim. And I was just like, my God, like she's not doing herself any favors. She's really not.
She's not. And how many times in that apology did she mention she's going to counseling? One time is fine, and I didn't even need the one time.
We didn't even need the one. Go to counseling. We don't need you to tell us you're going to counseling. Just go to counseling, and then in a year, do a sit down with Entertainment Tonight and be like, "This is me." Do a juicy scoop. Heather McDonald, tell all about like, I'm a better person. I was a love addict. I was a sex addict. I slept with Tiger Woods. Like, then give us all the details, and then we'll be interested. But like, not right now. It's too fresh.
It's way too fresh. I remember that with Spidey. They were notorious for that, and they did it very well. Is when they would be in trouble, they would take a little bit of time, get a little plastic surgery, and then head over to the ET and do a big like, we'll show you our new plastic surgery, and kind of maybe apologize. I mean, Spencer won't, but will a little bit. So
they were good at working the media. Rachel and Tom Sandoval need to take some notes.
They need to take some notes because this is really, really bad. Their apologies were it was a damn shame. And then here's my thing. Here's the thing that really pissed me off, and I just did a video about it. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you so much. Rachel's apology, she did. And then she puts out a statement about how her love to Tom Sandy Butt is so pure. Like, we give a shit. We don't want to know about that. Zach, what did you think seeing that right after?
Shut up. Shut up. I don't want to hear, like, we don't want it right now. Like, it's just like, and part of me at first was like, you know what, if they decide to go full Spidey and decide to lean into this reality TV villain couple, then like, I can ride with that. Because at that point, we at least know this is who they're going to be. They're going to get booked on Marriage Boot Camp. They're going to get booked on Big Brother UK. Like, they're going to go down that road. And they had that potential, but this constant victimhood of hers of being like, I'm a love addict and I'm codependent and Scheana beat me up and Scheana gave Heather a black eye. I'm just like, oh my God, like, enough with the stories. Like just either lean into the villain couple or just like be quiet and resurface when you've become a new person, when you've been reborn.
Exactly. Because, okay, so let's talk about the Scheana beat Raquel up. And feel free to put it in the chat, you guys. Does anyone believe that Scheana beat? So the story is Scheana, we're supposed to believe that Scheana took Raquel and her giraffe self and grabbed her by her 7'2" frame, held her up against a wall, and punched her.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is so funny because, okay, you met Scheana. Scheana's this big. Scheana's tiny. I'm small. I'm small framed, and Scheana's smaller than me. Like, Scheana is like literally this big, and Raquel is like this big. And I'm like, so she just like pounded on, she threw her against a wall and pounded on her face. Like, what? Like, in what world does this even like physically make sense?
Well, if Scheana did, like, not condoning violence, obviously, I don't believe she did, but if she did, WWE is going to be calling if she made that happen.
Right? Like, if she, even, like, I don't even, my other things, it's like, okay, let's also think about, like, first of all, if Scheana were to hit her, it would be an up punch because she's not going to hit her downwards because Raquel's a lot taller than her. So it would be an up punch, number one. And number two, if you were to hit, Sheena's not a boxer, right? She doesn't know how to clock you right in the nose. She's not going to help Raquel get a third nose job. But what she's going to hit like this. So then it would come on the outside of the face, and the cut was on the inside of her eye. So I'm like, how does this make any sense?
Right. And then Sheena's best friend, or one of her best friends, I should say, is that gentleman by the name of Kale. Is that his name? Kale? He came out and posted on Instagram, and he is part of, like, I think he's a host of like the One Whiskey podcast or something. But he posted, like, I wanted to stay out of this because I'm friends with both of them, but I cannot allow this lie to continue. And so he posted pictures showing, and I have, everybody has the pictures, but I can pull one up here, that her eye, before they went to watch What Happens Live on the plane, he even posted video that this eye had already been bruised. So what happened to the eye? Is it another little like nose job, like fix up? Like, what's going on here?
I mean, she could also just bruise easily under the eye, or maybe it's a Botox bruise. Like, there are a lot of reasons that you could have that type of bruising. That's very common when you go and get your Botox injections. I'm very glad that I don't bruise when I get Botox, but like, it is very common that people do that, and then you cover it up with makeup, and it's not really that big of a deal. but yeah, I don't know if it's Kyle or Kale. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's like Kael. But I did see he posted photos of like her Instagram story from like November, and then he posted video footage from the plane where she's not wearing any makeup
Yes.
coming over, and so it shows that the black eye has been there for a minute. But the crazy thing is, I read Rachel's court documents or the filings that she did to get the temporary restraining order, and she's very clear that Scheana assaulting her is what led to the black eye. But now I'm like, this is going to be murky, and the judge is not going to be a fan of this, because now if she's claiming that the black eye was caused by Scheana, this doesn't appear to be the case because she's had bruising for quite some time.
So this is, I mean, just when you think this can't get any crazier, it does. It's going to soon become like Ryan Murphy will do a show about this.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's really spooky at this point. If Raquel is fabricating this to the extent it kind of seems like, again, everything's alleged here, but this is the picture to TMZ. This is one of the screenshots from Kale, and let's see if I can zoom in enough here, but you can kind of see this is her on the plane. So underneath her eye, she already is marked there. And now, Zach, you mentioned something, and I saw it on Reddit as well, that there was a photo geotag or something date on the photo, that one of the photos she submitted for the temporary restraining order against Scheana, and it was from November.
Yeah. So it's interesting that like it's so sloppily done. And like it's like the hard part is it's like you like of course you want to you want to believe people when they say that they've been assaulted, and then when they file for a temporary restraining order, because like that's what these things are for. Let's also be very clear what a restraining order versus a temporary restraining order is. Anybody can go and file a temporary restraining order, and you can submit a photo of a black eye and say, hey, this is, you know, this is what happened to me. And so based off of that, a temporary restraining order is put in place to protect you from further domestic violence until a judge can actually review the case from both parties. And so that's where we're at right now. It's not that there's an actual restraining order against Scheana. It's temporary until the court hearing, which is on March 29th, so that a judge can actually review everything and hear Scheana's side and hear Raquel's side and look at all the evidence, and then determine whether or not a restraining order is needed and whether or not there is danger to Raquel. And that's where they go into like the person's like history, and is this person, Scheana in this case, have they been violent in the past? Do they have a history of this? Has this happened before? Are there witnesses that can corroborate what happened? Are there witnesses that can corroborate? Because Raquel's also claiming that she's telling friends and coworkers that she'll do it again. It's just it's wild to me.
Also, when I read that, I'm like, well, who is saying that? Who is telling Raquel? So I
Yeah.
feel like there's so much being claimed and so many, borderline slanderous comments being made against Scheana with very little proof.
Right.
And no one is really stepping forward and saying, oh, I told Raquel that, or I heard Scheana say this. It seems to be unanimously against Raquel or Rachel. And it seems to be that the timing is really interesting, which everyone's been talking about, because we have the reunion coming up. So her having a restraining order might then prevent her from going to the reunion, but we know that's not going to happen, right?
Yeah, they'll find a way around it. But also, not just the timing of the filing of the restraining order, but the timing of everything in the actual filing. So this allegedly happened. This assault happened on Wednesday night in New York City, right? That's the
Yeah.
allegation against Scheana. Wednesday night in New York City. Okay. So in her filing for the temporary restraining order, she submitted these photos, and on top of that, she also submitted an urgent care report, basically saying I had to go to urgent care so that they had to treat me. Okay. You look at the date on the urgent care report, the date was from Saturday. This happened Wednesday night in New York City. She didn't go to urgent care until Saturday when she was in Los Angeles, when Vanderpump Rules cameras were back up and filming.
Oh my
And
gosh.
the report says we didn't treat her. She came in. Yes, she had a mark on her eye. She claims that this happened Wednesday night and that she was assaulted by a friend. They're literally saying we didn't treat her, but this is what she's claiming. So she went to urgent care, got no treatment for a bruise under her eye. Like, go to CVS and get some arnica cream. Like, I just, it made no sense to me that she would wait more than 48 hours to then go to urgent care in another city. Like, if it was this dire and it was this serious, file a police report and go to urgent care if you needed medical attention immediately.
Yeah. Now, is this so? She previously got dropped, right? Like she had, the same PR as Tom Sandybutt, and then she got her own crisis PR, and then that crisis PR dropped her, correct? So is this a new
Well,
PR
so
strategy?
she was formerly represented by Tom's PR, which is Garage PR. And then it seemed over the past week, after everything started to come to light, it seemed that she had new representation from Erica Jane's former publicist. He began representing her. And then there was speculation and rumors that were reported, I believe, by Demois, saying that she was dropped by him because there were inconsistencies in her story, specifically related to the black eye, which now we're realizing, yeah, that is a big inconsistency if she's in the black eye was caused by Scheana. And we have footage of her on the plane going to New York where the black eye is already present, right? So it seems like it's possible that he dropped her over the weekend and maybe there's another one that's representing her. I've also heard that, or I've read reports that her parents were the ones that hired this attorney. Lala can't refer to him as a Mickey Mouse attorney.
Not like Daryl.
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 So yeah, it seems like her parents are trying to kind of gain control over this, and it's possible that they're the ones that have hired a new PR crisis firm and possibly the ones that hired this new attorney that's representing her.
Now, why isn't she just going back to Arizona, which would arguably be the smartest thing she could do, is remove herself from Los Angeles, hide out, be with family, get some support, do this counseling she's mentioned 4 times in her first apology, rather than walking around the outskirts of Los Angeles, which is what Page 6 is reporting now. She's just wearing all black, including the black, you're in trouble, or you're Leonardo DiCaprio when you have the black, baseball hat on and you're walking around the city.
Right.
So
Okay.
Why isn't she
Or
leaving
vaping.
Zach? Yes, or vaping too.
I think she's caught up in it. Like her latest statement today was about how, her love for Tom is so pure and she doesn't even know what to label it yet. And she doesn't know what the future holds and she can't make any predictions. And I'm just like, oh my God, like just shut up, shut the fuck up and like be done with this already. Number one. And number two, like it doesn't help. I think she's so addicted to the attention that she's getting from all of this. So I understand why her parents may be concerned, but it's not healthy behavior.
Not at all. And what we learned on last night's episode of Vanderpump Rules, I didn't know this before. I didn't realize that Rachel was a fan of the show. And then we found out that Allie's friend brought her to James' show too, but she was a fan of Vanderpump Rules. So do you think this was something that was, strategic on her part to get on the show, was to go and throw herself not throw herself, but introduce herself to James and start dating and all that?
1000%, because she dated James and then allowed him to treat her so badly and stayed with him for more camera time until she became a fixture on the show. And then even when she broke up with James and then there was a chance that she might not return to the show, then she really befriended Scheana and Ariana. Then she started dating Nima from Shaws of Sunset. Then all of a sudden she's dating Peter and gets a job at SUR. So it's just like kept her job at SUR. So it's like it felt like she was trying to constantly make sure she guaranteed herself a spot on the show. And now that really blew up in her face, right? Because it's like, well, is she going to stay on the show? Like, she's not doing herself any favors.
She's not. And like Brittany's saying here, she saw it work for, Beer Cheese Brittany. I think that we have seen this. Obviously, the formula was laid out by Brittany, and it was almost the exact same with Rachel as she came in scantily clad. Remember, Brittany was as well. And just a young little Kentucky Brittany came through those doors, just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And then we see that with Rachel as well, to the point of, Lisa Vanderpump even reminiscing that, oh yeah, I remember when she came in and she wasn't wearing any clothes. And that's how you get yourself a job at SUR. Don't wear any pants. But it's interesting to think that this is, it's almost like, they talk about career politicians, but you have these like career reality people who by any means necessary, they will, to stay on the show or to stay relevant, they'll do whatever it takes. And it seems like Rachel was really playing up this character, and the only person who saw it the entire time is Christina Kelly, who hasn't even been on the damn show. Zach, what is going on there?
Good for Christina Kelly. I am so happy. I just saw her the other night. Scheana did a live podcast here in downtown with Lala and Christina, and she's ready to pop. She got the baby ready. And listen, she's always been able to see through everybody on this show, and she saw right through Raquel's Bambi eyes, and she knew. She's like, for people to treat her like a baby, that's an insult to babies. And she's great.
She was so right, because they do. I mean, Katie really, I mean, she made a Zoolander reference. She really thinks Rachel is just doesn't have a brain. We have to remember Rachel has, I mean, does she have a graduate degree, or she has a bachelor's degree? Did she go to grad school too?
I don't know if she went to grad school. But yeah, I mean, she should have just kept up with her little, like at the last reunion, she's like, I just want to be a therapist and I just want to help people. And like, she should have just gone down. Like when her and her dad drove off at the end of the last reunion, I was like, and that is the last time we will ever see Rachel again. And then here she comes like a wrecking ball, and she's just coming to cause so much damage.
Right. And I was here for a Rachel redemption season. I really was, because I kind of bought into the, okay, she's young. She got taken advantage of by James. We've seen James treat his girlfriend not so well. I'll never forget him spitting on Kristen's door, nor will I ever forgive him. But I mean, we're moving out. We won't live in the past on that one. But this redemption tour obviously is not a redemption tour at all. We're finally seeing the mask come off of a character that played the dummy, which was Rachel, and someone who was very much protected by what looks like the edit, which, you know, Stassi talked about, how she was always the one they claimed that was protected by production in the edit, but it actually was Sandy Budd as well.
Well, I think what it is they were so good at hiding behind clear villains. Raquel hid behind James because he was so diabolical and awful that it was easy to like just sit there and kind of just let him be your foil and just play off of him and let him take the heat without having to really give much other than kind of just react to him. And that's what Tom Sandoval did. He did it with Jax. You know, he hid behind Jax and he hid behind Kristen. He let them be the awful people on camera. And then he did it with James. Like there was always somebody else to take the heat, to deflect.
Yes, that is such a good point. And someone that's always going to look worse, because I went back and watched some of the old reunions. I watched season 1 and season 2, and I was reminded like, oh yeah, Sandoval's never been really that great, but compared to someone like Jax at the time, he was. And there was in season 2 reunion, do you remember when Kristen outed Sandoval for living with 2 teenage girls who were seniors in high school? And she said, before I met him, he was living with teenagers, or before I started dating him, I should say. She said he was living with twin sisters who were seniors in high school. And she said they worked at Hooters. And he said, I didn't know. And she said, you were sleeping with them. And he said, only one. And it was that Cassandra girl who Kristen, I think, cried about that season when she saw her at a modeling shoot. And I was like, oh God, all the red flags are coming out.
Yeah.
He's
finally having his turn. He's like literally finally coming to light now that there's nobody else to hide behind.
Right. Well, I've had this up on the screen for a while because Scheana, obviously, a lot of allegations. I feel like Sheena's really taking the heat for this. And she didn't, I mean, Scheana has been a scapegoat on this show for a long time. And, you know, there have been seasons where I was like, I didn't enjoy Scheana as much as I do now in the newer seasons. Obviously, like the Rob 7 seconds hanging a TV, that was a hard season to watch Scheana because she was going through so much and her divorce. And you're like, no, girl, you're better than this. Rob sucks. But there's been she's made so many moves since then. And I very much enjoy Scheana, but obviously she really had Rachel's back when Katie and the other women, you know, when they came at her, and Ariana had her back too. And now Scheana is getting it from that. I mean, Rachel, who she protected, and is claiming, you know, she assaulted her. So it looks like Scheana, you know, like she said she never punched Raquel, period. And her lawyer said exclusively to Us Weekly in a statement today that the supposed dark markings around her left eye have been there for months, which we've been talking about. And the statement continued, neither Scheana nor other cast members want anything to do with Rachel going forward. The judge has only heard a one-sided account of what happened. And we look forward to presenting the full and true story on the March 29th hearing. So, I mean, can you give us any insider scoop, Zack? Have you talked to Scheana? Do you know anymore? I mean, what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, the second I first heard this rumor on Friday, I text her and I'm like, "Is this true? Did you hit her?" And she's like, "No, I absolutely did not hit her. That's not true." Like she immediately, and this is when there was no litigation. This was when none of this was like what it has become now on Thursday, almost a full week later. And she was very clear that that was not what happened. I've spoken to multiple cast members. I've spoken to producers, and it seems like this is a very far-fetched story that Rachel's trying to push, and it doesn't seem like there's any actual evidence that can back it up. And it seems like, again, now knowing that she didn't go to urgent care until Saturday when this allegedly went down on Wednesday, tells me that she was waiting for cameras to come up so that she can try to victimize herself on the show so that she doesn't look as bad. And like you said, Scheana's been a scapegoat, which again is another page out of classic Vanderpump Rules rulebook, as we saw with, Brittany going and staying with Jackson. That got Brittany on the show. And now all of a sudden we're going to use Scheana, to deflect from our own stuff. And it just feels like it's another page out of the classic Vanderpump Rules playbook that she's trying to play to try and, keep herself relevant and on this show. She just makes herself look worse and worse. Had she just stayed quiet, not issued all these statements, not gone with the restraining order and all of that sort of stuff, like, her lawyer was also very smart to say, none of the cast wants anything to do with them, because in order to have a restraining order, there has to be an imminent threat that's potentially ongoing that would be cause for them to give you a restraining order, because you would have to constantly possibly run into this person, and this person is supposed to be an ongoing threat to you. So her lawyer even saying they don't want anything to do with her was very smart to say Scheana has no interest in beating her up again, allegedly,
She's done. She already allegedly did it once.
She's good. Yeah.
Okay, so what is this claim I'm seeing in the chat? People are saying that Tom Sandoval is refusing to leave his home. Do you know anything about this?
I mean, it's so insane. Like, he literally does not realize how uncomfortable it is for him to stay at the house. Like, he literally apparently walked in that on Friday after the news broke and everybody was around Ariana, walked into the house and was just like, "Yeah, I get it. I'm the most hated guy here," or whatever. Like, he literally does not even realize the severity of this.
Oh, that is so crazy. So right now, as what we know is that him and Ariana are still forced to live in that house together.
They're cohabiting. And it's apparently really hard for her to be there with him, because he has no remorse about the Raquel stuff. Like, he literally is like, "Come on, you know that our relationship wasn't great for a long time. Like, what did you expect? I was going to tell you eventually, but your grandma died. And what was I supposed to do? I didn't want to add on to your page when your grandma died and your dog died and you have depression. I didn't want to make life worse for you by telling you that I was cheating on you." It's just so crazy.
That's probably one of the worst scenarios I can think of for a breakup. I know, probably Ariana doesn't want to leave her own house, but at this point, I would just probably go stay with a friend. So do you really think they're both sleeping there at night?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's so, obviously not in the same, I'm pretty sure he's staying in the guest house. I don't know exactly where he's staying. I'm assuming it's in the guest house.
Oh my God.
The guest house that he used to bring Rachel to. But
is that where it went down?
Yeah, you didn't hear the story about how she was
I
staying
thought it was a guest room.
I think they have a guest back house, or maybe it was a guest room. But I thought it was a back house. But she was staying there, and he, Ariana caught him at 4 a.m, and she's like, "What are you doing coming from her room?" And he's like, "Oh, I was just bringing her some water. She's a thirsty bitch."
Well, he's not wrong about that, about her being thirsty. But that is, this just continues to get more creepy. This is going to turn into an episode of Snapped if people aren't careful. Seriously, not to get weird or anything, but this is next level. Now, what about these necklaces? So the girl on the right is that Joe, the hairstylist who's dating Schwartz?
I think so. Looks like her.
Okay, that's whose razor was in the scene when Schwartz. Why is Schwartz pretending to be single? Why?
To keep up the ruse to protect Sandoval about still hooking up with Raquel.
Oh my gosh, you're right. At this,
Like, now it
oh,
makes sense. Yeah,
it
now it makes
makes.
sense.
But did they have to kiss? Did they have to go that method
Well,
about the
you know
acting?
what's so gross is not last week, but the week prior at Tom Sandoval's show with the most extras, he was telling the crowd, he's like, "Who wants to see Schwartz and Raquel make out? Who wants to see Schwartz and Raquel make out?" And everybody's like, "Yeah." So then he made them come on stage and kiss each other in front of everybody a week before
Listen,
the scandal broke.
I wholeheartedly believe this in my heart that there's been a threesome and that
Oh yeah,
Rachel's going to get pregnant tomorrow if she's
I,
not already pregnant.
I believe all of that. There
It's
had there had to have been a threesome. Like, there's no way Schwartz didn't know. Like, so apparently Schwartz found out a month ago, which was around the premiere of Vanderpump Rules. So he found out going into this new season. I think he had to, like, unless he's just as dumb as Rachel. I think he had to have picked up on some signs. Okay, so Jeff, remember Jeff from the Burner, Jeff Epstein, you guys both did
yeah.
something.
Hmm.
He was telling me, he's like, I remember running into them at a festival in September. And he's like, it was so weird because there's all these rumors about Schwartz and Raquel hooking up. He's like, but the weird part is Schwartz and Sandoval were all over each other and he was buying her drinks and they were flirting. He's like, I just thought it was so strange that everybody's talking about her and Schwartz, yet there's this weird vibe between her and Sandoval. So it's like, if Jeff was able to pick up on that after seeing them just that one time, it's like, how did Schwartz not be able to pick up on this? I can understand how maybe in front of Ariana, they kind of tried to button it up a little bit more, but like, it's just crazy.
Okay, how about this necklace situation? So he has the lightning bolt necklace. She has the lightning bolt necklace. Is the guy in the middle here, is this the necklace designer or something? Is this a jeweler that I'm supposed to know? Um, or was the necklace made specifically for Rachel after Tom had the necklace? How long has the necklace been about? I have so many necklace questions. I don't know if you know anything
Yes.
about the necklace, but
I don't know. I know that the necklace thing seems to have checked out, and I believe Kristen Doty also verified that on her podcast, that the necklace thing seems pretty legit, and that Raquel's like literally telling people that they're in love. But I mean, they're not the same necklace. Like, let's clarify that. Somebody had to have. I don't think the necklaces were purchased together, but the necklace symbol, emblem, whatever, seems to have some sort of significance. And then people are pulling up footage from his concerts where he's singing Electric Love, and people are like,
I
oh,
saw
is
that.
he singing Electric Love? And is that a reference to the lightning bolt? And is that more, more Easter eggs? So all I know is that the necklaces seem to check out, but they're not the same necklace. So either they both had separate necklaces and this became like a thing for them, or one had one and the other one bought one later. I don't really know.
Well, it's interesting since the Tom Tom on their logo on the sweatshirt, the
Also
infamous
has the light.
Schwetmer, yeah, it has the lightning bolt as well. So that obviously has significance to to Sandoval. And then it seems like Raquel, she just becomes a fan of whoever she's dating. So it would have
Yeah.
significance to her and maybe their love. And is that song, part of my ignorance, that song, because I think the Bravo Bros posted about that.
Yeah.
Was Is that his original one he wrote, or is that someone else's song? I can't tell
No,
which
that's
is
someone else's song.
karaoke.
That's
Someone
somebody
okay.
else's song. But like, maybe she's the light, since the lightning bolt is through the tom toms. Maybe she's the lightning bolt in between the two toms, like at the same time.
Oh. Oh.
She's
Oh.
rocking that Tom
Little
crazy. She's like, two toms are better than one.
a little Eiffel Tower action, are you talking about?
Yeah, she's got it down. And listen, had they both been single, I'd be like, get it, girl. But not when
Yeah.
you're dating your best friends. Like, at first, I was like, yeah, you know what? Let her bang Neiman. Let her bang Peter. Let her get Oliver. Like, let her live her hoe phase and have her best life, right? But then I'm like, oh, Oliver is, supposedly married now, and now it's Ariana. Like, it's so deep.
It seems to be a pattern. Well, it sounded like Lisa Vanderpump on last night's episode. She was like, yeah, he's separated. So was Oliver just telling everyone he was separated?
That's
And
his story, but that's not Samantha's story.
Is he still married to Samantha?
I don't know if they're still technically, like, legally married. I'm not sure what the status of it is, but I know they're definitely separated. I mean, they're definitely separated now because he went on camera with
Oh.
Raquel.
And it was, I mean, I think Lala had a good read. I have a couple Lala questions for you. So I think Lala had a good read on this last night's episode, this competition factor. And it does make a lot of sense with Rachel, coming from the pageant world and having this competition. It can be very, there are pageant people. We just had Taylor Hale, winner of BB24. She was a pageant in the pageant scene, but she was very like a big feminist, very had lots of like, female friends, really wanted to bring up women in business. But then you might get another side of the pageant world where you might get someone like Rachel who becomes competitive with women even outside of that pageant world. And since we as women were kind of conditioned already to compete with one another, unconsciously, we have to like recognize that because society always pits us together while telling men like work together, be a team, and girls, they kind of condition us to fight with one another. But I thought that was a good read, watching her and Oliver, or Lala and Rachel, compete for Oliver, but it didn't seem like Lala was really into the competition.
Yeah, I think the second Lala saw the competition, and I think she had a good read in her confessional. She's like, I am no competition. Like, Rachel is no competition for me. Like, if I wanted to play that game, I could have had him. And the second that I knew she wanted him, I didn't want him either. And it seems like that, I feel like I see that angle of the pageant girl competition, but I also see it from like the thirsty, relevance thing with Rachel, where the second, because at first she definitely expressed that Oliver was hot the second they sit down at the table, but then when Lala's like, do you know who he is? You've met Garcelle, this is Garcelle's son. And I think that's when Rachel's little antenna went up and she's like, oh, this is Garcelle's son, now I really need to take him up to my hotel room.
Yes, you guys. Okay, 438 of you here. Make sure you smash that like if you haven't already. I have a question though. Okay, so here's my thing. I think you and I might differ on this, but I'm just assuming. I think what Lala's doing in her troll phase, obviously, to me, it comes off with a lot of projection because she's going through stuff with Rand, which I can understand. However, there's going to come a point, and I think we're almost there, where Lala's not at her likability best on the show. So for her to keep coming as hard as she is at Rachel, people are actually, and it's starting to happen, starting to kind of empathize with Rachel and look at Lala as a bully, even though Rachel's behavior is abhorrent. But I just think there's a fine line, and she's crossing it or about to cross it with when she was doing, and I don't know if she still is, doing these constant, stories and things like that.
Yeah. It's, I can't, she's too much. I can't with Rachel. She's literally she's doing the most.
Yeah, I feel like, Lala, I know she wants to drag Rachel, and she wants to, because she's kind of like, I'm right now. I've always thought she was horrible. I've always, since she was a Bambi bitch.
I feel the validation because I've never liked Rachel from the
very
beginning. I was like, I don't like her. When she was dating James, I'm like, I don't like her. Something about this, I just had bad juju from her. And I remember Scheana was always like, no, she's so good, and people were always saying she's so smart and she's so funny, and I was like, okay, smart's a stretch, but like they were always telling me she's got such a great personality and that I would actually like her, and I'm glad I never liked her.
Wow. See, I was dumb, and because the women, especially Lala, came at her so hard, I tend to then cheer for what I presume to be an underdog. And so I was, like I said, I was ready for her little redemption tour. And even now, when I see Lala coming at, just constantly doing stories and like, blah, 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 doing all of this and stuff, I'm like, Lauren, we have to be careful because there might be a time when that turns on you.
Yes, I agree. But I also understand where Scheana and James are coming from, not to defend them, but I understand because with them, I feel like they've always just been who they are unapologetically, and they've gotten dragged for it, rightfully so, right? Because they've had some abhorrent behavior, but they've always shown us exactly who they are, and they take the heat that comes with them. Whereas then you have people like Scandoval and you have people like Rachel who are not who they actually are, and they end up looking like good people, and now we realize they were doing these awful things behind everybody's back this entire time. So I would understand that same sort of outrage, I guess, because I'm somebody that's like, I show you exactly who I am, good, bad, and the ugly, and I get dragged for it all the time, but I'm just like, this is who I am, and I'm always just going to give you me, whether you like it or don't like it. I'm not trying to be liked, I'm trying to just be honest. And so, it does get frustrating where I see other people who, don't have that same type of, level of honesty and vulnerability, and maybe they have more of a disguise up. And so I understand where Lala and James are coming from, where it's like, they're who they are. And then you have people like Rachel and Tom who are not who they are. And now the mask has fallen off. So now it's like, yes, now it's time for you to get dragged. I had to get dragged, but at least I got dragged for who I actually have been.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think that kind of realness shows, and it lasts more than this fake facade. I mean, Sandoval did get away with it for a long time. But I think I would rather not have, like, yes, he's had success on the show, but now with where he's at, I mean, this is a horrible, like, crumbling. I mean, his everything, his whole self is just, it's awful.
Yeah, it's not great.
Now, what do you, because I get a lot of questions from people who might not be as into this Bravo world. And they're like, what is the big deal? Like, what is the difference? People cheat all the time. Celebrities cheat. Why are you Bravo people? Why are you so obsessed with this Vanderpumprules thing? Like, what do you say to people when they say that?
Well, it's funny. I saw this meme that kind of broke it down in a way that shows people the magnitude of it, but it compared it to Friends. And they're like, it's as if Monica and Chandler were together. And then all of a sudden we find out Chandler was secretly sleeping with Rachel. And that's like the level of like shock that everybody's in, because it's true. I mean, not that we can compare Rachel to Rachel or, Sandoval to Chandler, but that's kind of the level. It's like Monica and Rachel were so close and they were such good friends that to have Rachel sleep with Chandler is just like, it's such a scandal, and nobody saw it coming.
Nobody saw it coming. And the fact that is a really good comparison, because I think there's a lot of people who just think we're all cuckoo. And yes, us Bravo fans, we are a little cuckoo and we're very passionate. But this, this is a different cheating scandal, because people always want to bring up, well, Scheana was with Brandy Glanville's husband, Eddie. Okay, yeah, in like 1919. And then, Ariana kissed Tom in a pool in Vegas. So he cheated. After Kristen cheated with like 5 people, he cheated with 5 people. Like, but now we're almost 40. And some of us are 40 in this Bravo world. And we have a situation where we have Rachel, who was a close friend to both of them. Like, if you look back at the story, Zach, which I'm sure you've done, because I've definitely done it, it's sick, because she was like a family member to them.
Scheana didn't know Brandy. Scheana was not friends with Brandy. And Eddie told Scheana that he was separated from Brandy. Jax and Kristen, they were very clear that their relationship was only sexual, and they wouldn't even kiss because that felt too intimate for them. So there was it was literally just a drunk. And I remember Stassi even being like, that's awful, because I wish that there were some emotional connections, but just knowing that you guys just got off on each other makes it worse. So the difference is, like, this was insidious. This was like deep. This was like, I'm lying to your face. I'm going on Page Six's podcast and talking about how much I love Ariana. Meanwhile, I've been sleeping with her man for 7 months. It's deep.
It is deep. And I think it's everyone's biggest fear, that right under your nose, something is happening with 2 people that you probably trust most in the world, which is the situation Ariana was in.
Yeah.
She really believed in these 2. Now, I do have to ask you, are we bordering on, the Ariana quote of, from, I forget the movie. My mom's going to kill me in the chat, but the movie where the lady boils the bunnies?
Oh, Single White Female?
No, that's similar, but it has Glenn Close. And she becomes very, like, obsessed. You guys will put it in the chat.
You think Raquel's a bunny boiler?
Well, if you look back now, and people are mentioning in the chat, and I've seen this on Instagram, I've seen different theories. Remember how unaffected she was by a lot of things and the stuff she put up with James? And it's like, is she? And okay, here's an example. Last night's episode, right? So Lala, again, just Fatal Attraction. Thank you, witness. Okay, so Lala is very raw. This Randall is a monster. She's raw. And then Raquel, she will say things where you're like, most people have tact and a filter and know not to say this. But I don't think it's just because she's not bright, because we know that she is bright and she is more calculating than we wanted to believe. So she was like, yeah, that's the last thing you want to do is have a baby with someone like that. And then she goes, oh, I didn't, mean it, or, or I didn't mean it like that. And Lala's like, no, I'm not offended that you said that. And then she said, I think Ocean was born for a reason. It was like a really nice moment. She starts tearing up. And then it was almost like Raquel had to just come up with a reaction. And maybe I'm reading too much into this, but she was like, aw. But it was like dead face, no soul. Aw.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be honest. She has the dead stripper eyes, so it's like it's hard to read any emotion that comes.
What's a dead stripper eyes?
Well, because when there's a stripper and she's on the pole, like you can't see into her soul. She just has like dead eyes, and like
she's just turned off.
The eyes are open, but there's nothing behind it, and those are Raquel's eyes. Raquel has dead stripper eyes.
I really think because I don't pick up like genuine emotion from her anymore. And the fact that you can now watch these interviews, like the interviews her and Scheana even did before Watch What Happens Live with Page Six, that interview they did with that Page Six reporter. And she's like, I think this is she's trying to explain, I think what Tom Schwartz said, it was like, Raquelissance. It's her Raquelissance, but she couldn't remember the term. And he was like, oh, it's your rebirth. She was like, no, not that. And then she couldn't think of the word, but even the way she was describing, and I'm thinking all this time as you're sitting there being interviewed, you are doing something that is so bad.
So bad. Like 7 months bad. Like it's so like it just makes your stomach churn. Even listening to or looking at the preview for next week where Lala's like, if I would not trust you around my man drunk, and she's like, what's a good thing you don't have a man to be drunk around me? And I was like, oh, and even Kelly's like, Raquel, what are you saying? Like, what?
Don't say that. Yeah, and in that Page Six interview, she actually mentioned that because the interview asked her if she regretted anything, and she said, oh, I made this comment to Lala, but it was like not because I was going to go after her man. It was just, oh, I know she struggled a lot with Rand, and so I'm just glad she doesn't have to deal with it. I re-listened to it last night while I was driving to Target, and I'm like, this chick is cuckoo bananas.
Total cuckoo bananas, like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She's out of her mind.
Yeah, the way, like Mallory's saying, the way she shuts off her emotions is wild. It's so wild, you guys. It's crazy.
Empathy. Yeah.
No empathy. Okay, so I don't want to keep you too long. We're already at 47 minutes. I want to start to wrap it up here, Zack. I appreciate it's been so fun just to like catch up with you. And I feel like I can just go to you and be like, okay, Zack, what's the truth on this? And what do people think about this?
Yes.
Because you got the tea and the receipts and you read like all the court findings. So if you have to list like, let's say 5 things people need to know, the newest updates about Scandoval, like the most important things to know to kind of understand and be current with the Scandoval crisis, what would they be? And I know that's a weird question.
No, I mean, one, I think it's exciting to see that it looks like Kristen Doty is officially back for Vanderpump Rules. She was caught with cameras on her, not just around the cameras, but actually filming with her. So Doty's back for season 10, the tail end. I predict that this restraining order is not going to stick. I'm pretty sure Bravo's going to push back the reunion maybe a week, possibly 2 or a week and a half, to make sure it fits right after the March 29th date so that they can clear Scheana and then be like, listen, girl, Raquel, Rachel, you want to be on this show. It's time you show up for the reunion. And I'm pretty sure she's going to show up for the reunion because she's not about to lose, not even just the paycheck, but she's not about to lose the camera time and the attention that she's getting. She's so ego driven and so thirsty for it. It looks like Tom are probably not going to end up doing Winter House after all. They were supposed to be on the new season of Winter House, but now that they're back in production for Vanderpump Rules, they might not do that unless they do a very brief cameo at the end of it. So we're probably not going to see the Toms on Winter House, but I think at this point everybody's good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're totally fine. Like
I
we
don't
don't.
think they really brought anything to the season of Winter House. They showed up for 24 hours, and Schwartz was just like pretending he was sad, and Sandy Butt was just like, "Oh, this is cool." And it's like, dude, you're 40 and you showed up to a really dirty house. You know you're not excited about this. Let's
No.
not pretend.
Yeah, let's not get try. It's crazy to think they're like 40. Like it
I
blows my
know.
mind still.
Yeah, I mean, Sandoval, I think he's like about to turn 40, and Schwartz, if he's not already 40. And this is and that's part of the, uh why we're kind of like, this isn't, because with here's the thing. Do you think, I honestly believe that there is a redemption arc in life and in this, maybe not in the show, because maybe not, but in life, for Rachel, because she's 28. And we expect these kind of, not expect this, I mean, this is ultimate betrayal, but we expect mistakes to happen. I have more sympathy, empathy for her than I do for Sandoval, because he should know better. It's been done to him, and he's old like me.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Well, I'm 29, so I'm pretty much the same age as she is, as Raquel, as Rachel.
You're a
So like,
baby.
but like I know better. Like I know not to
Yeah.
bang my best friend's man. Like I know not to do that. Listen, if I'm gonna wreck somebody's relationship, if I'm gonna blow up somebody's marriage, the last thing I'm gonna do is go with somebody that I know, that I care about, that I love. Like I
Yep.
could never. The funny thing is, this cracked me up. I think I said this on my live too. There was one woman, as I was reading through the comments last night, and this one woman was just like, "Listen, I don't support violence, but I slept with my best friend's man, and she beat me up, but I would never." She's like, but I would never press charges because like I deserved it.
That's actually an excellent point, because I would feel the same way if I did something so low down and dirty as that and carried it on for 7 months and did it in the house while my friend was sleeping and broke up her, common law 10-year relationship. I would expect a punch in the face.
Right? You'd be like, listen, fine, I'll take it. She's like, I would never, but she was like so genuine. She's like, I would never press charges against her because like I deserved it.
See, and I
Like,
love
that's
that.
reflection.
Yes, that kind of self-awareness is something neither Sandoval or Rachel have. And maybe I'm just, in my head, I want to be a little more forgiving down the road. We'll see how her actions play out, because she still has to, go through and really repent and be and fix things and not be a monster, not just come back on this show. And my fear is they're just gonna be on the show and just throw their relationship in our face,
Yeah.
and we're just
Yeah.
gonna have to.
I don't know if I can stomach it. I'm not as tough as Raquel. I can't stand in the mirror and punch myself in the eye and then accuse my friend of doing it. I don't have the guts. I can't.
Justice for Scheana. That's what we're saying, you guys. Justice for
Free.
Scheana. Free. Oh my God, do you have free Scheana merch?
No, but somebody just told me today that like you need to make
Make it.
free Scheana merch.
Make it just like how Jerry O'Connell had the Team Ariana.
Oh, I have
made.
Team Ariana shirts. People are loving those. I have Team Ariana shirts in my merch store. And then this week, if you want 20% off, use code Rachel.
Oh my God, I love it. I love that, Zach. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what do you have coming up this week where people can catch you, follow you, and with your podcast, your channel, all the stuff?
I mean, yeah, the podcast is we release episodes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we there are Instagram reels popping off, like literally multiple every single day. So you can listen to hashtag No Filter with Zack Peter every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all podcast platforms, or you can catch the snippets on the YouTube. You can follow at No Filter with Zack on the Instagram, and you always get updates as they're coming live. So yeah.
Yay.
And I'm doing a live show in Philly with the Brav Bros April 27th. I'm going to be in Philly. So if anybody's on the East Coast and wants to come April 27th, get your tickets at nofilterlive.com.
How fun. I just discovered the Brav Bros. Are they the Bravo Bros or Brav Bros?
Brav Bros.
Brav Bros. Okay. And I did a live where I pulled up one of their clips, and I was so interested in whose house they film at. The decor, it was very nice. And I was like, oh, me and my friend Scheana were trying to dissect. We had more fun talking about that than we did Real Housewives of Potomac. Because I think they were interviewing Chris Bassett, and we were trying to dissect, like, which one of the Brav Bros do we think's home that is? And
I think it's Steele's home.
Okay, and which one's is he, the like
He's the one
gym
with the
guy?
tattoos.
Okay,
He's the gym guy with the tattoos, and the hat. He's in the hat, yeah.
See, I thought it was the other guys. That was
No,
my
I think the other
assumption.
guy's house is just as nice, but I think they have all the equipment at Steele's house.
Got it. Okay. We were just like literally we stopped talking about Potomac and we were just evaluating how nice the
Oh,
Brav Bros
so
little
good.
set was and what we thought their background was and just making up stories
Oh my
about them. And we were like, oh, we have to get to know them. So good to know. Go check out Zach and the Brav Bros on the East Coast. And, maybe there'll be something are there other cities, other things you're doing? You don't know?
You never know. I mean, listen, we had a great time at the Bourbon Room that you don't know. I mean, listen, just stay tuned for announcements. I guess that's all I got to say.
Right. Well, welcome everyone that came over from the Zach Pack. Appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you hit that subscribe, hit the like. Zach and I will be back with another collab very soon. But thank you, my friend, all the way from AfterBuzz days to the YouTubes. How far? I mean, I've known you for like a long time.
I know.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful night. Like I said, comment, subscribe, all the stuff. Go follow Zach on all the socials if you don't already. Subscribe to his channel. Links in the description for all of that stuff. And I'll be back very soon with another video. Follow me on the TikTok. I'm doing stuff on TikTok now. And always remember to enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Bye.
If you like what you see.